Hi everyone and welcome back to National League Lowdown with me, Dan. As you can see, we've got a special guest with us this evening, Keaton Ward, a Gateshead player. How are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. You?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for joining us. We haven't done a player special for a while, so this could be quite interesting. Obviously, you've just had a recent move as well, so we'll cover that and everything in
Yeah.
detail as well. Craig, how are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not the best result for my team yesterday, but I think it was one we all unfortunately saw coming.
Yeah, true. I mean, it was kind of a matter of how many when we were doing our predictions, so it wasn't a shock. But just before we get started, we've noticed as well on this channel that a lot of our viewers aren't subscribed to the channel, 65% to be precise. So if you haven't subscribed and you're still watching, and a lot of people were giving me stick in the comments on the previous video we done. So subscribe and then feel free to give me as much stick as you want after that. But please subscribe if you haven't already. It does us the world of good. So thank you. So Keaton, Craig's got his first set of questions for you, mate. We'll fire in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been looking at your career, and obviously we believe you started at Mansfield and then Barnsley and then kind of jumped back to Mansfield. How did you find growing up within kind of professional football clubs? Was it a good environment, and do you think it suited you for now, future down the line, the experiences that you got?
Yeah, I was in grassroots the whole way through though, up until I signed a scholar at Mansfield. So I just played Saturday League, which I think was massive for me in terms of the academy. I couldn't quite grasp my head around the winning and losing not really mattering. And I think that's why you kind of go on to last year, what we did at Boston, the winning and losing to me matters. And I think that's the reason that I did it. But then obviously you go into the full-time environment and you just kind of pick stuff up and kind of go up with the first team from 16. You just pick little traits up and like you notice things which are good and bad, and you try and do the good more than the bad.
No, absolutely. So obviously you didn't make too many appearances in the league or anything at those two sides until you went back to Mansfield for a second time. What made you go back?
It was a strange one really, because I kind of terminated my contract with Barnsley. Again, just nothing kind of bad. It was the 23s football side of it. Again, it's just not real football to me. So I spoke to Barnsley, got everything sorted. They was brilliant with it, and kind of went back. Let me just let dog out one sec. Sorry. Come on.
I thought I could hear a dog crying. I wasn't sure.
That's the beauties of live video.
Yeah, so then kind of went back in just to train with the 18s just to keep fit. Just because I was still close with the academy manager, so I just went in training, and then I don't know how it really came about, but I just got asked to train with the first team, and then kind of a week later, because obviously Nigel Clough wasn't there when I left, so I didn't know him. Ended up training with the first team, and a week later made my debut. So yeah, it was good.
Obviously, if we talk through your career, your probably first real spell of consistent football was at Kettering in the National League North. How was that? Obviously, was that for a part-time side or were they full-time?
Yeah, they were full-time. So I went on loan to Telford the year before, back end of the season from January until obviously the end of the season with Telford. Stayed up there. So I was still kind of in the full-time training part-time with Telford. So I trained at Mansfield during like say Mondays. I train up at Telford on a Tuesday, and that was my first kind of week in week out playing every game. Got to know the level of National League North, and enjoyed it. Again, it was another kind of a tough ask when I went in there. I think we was 7 or 8 points off safety. Managed to stay up on the last day against York, and then the Kettering one was more my agent at the time, Lee Glover, got the job and knew him, and it was kind of I knew I was going to go in and play, and that was the main thing for me. I just wanted a full season under my belt, and that's what I went and did.
Yeah, and then that obviously led to your move to Boston. You had a good couple of seasons at Boston, and obviously it culminated in that special survival season last season. Talk us through that, and obviously you've spoke about the difference between academy football and results not really mattering. Well, last year towards the end of the season, it was pretty much win or bust for you guys, and you won more often than you didn't.
Yeah, yeah. Like my 2 years at Boston's probably been the highlight of my career so far. Like both seasons, obviously the promotion year, the year before, which was unbelievable, and then you kind of go into the next season, and it's kind of how do you top it? And you probably top it by winning 9 out of your last 12 in a relegation battle. Well, 9 out of the last 13, whatever it was. And yeah, like you say, it's obviously different manager, different ideas, and it kind of there's just a mentality shift at some point where we just all said like we're not going down, and whatever way it takes, we're going to do it, and we did.
No, perfect. Jumping back to Dan next.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned there, obviously momentum's huge, isn't it, in football, but in everything sport-wise, you know, when you're winning games, it just breeds positivity. It takes me on to Altrincham. So obviously you were at Altrincham start of the season. They'd lost a couple of key players in the summer. So it was a bit of a transitional period, and they've had a bit of a tough season. How did you find it start of the season?
Yeah, I thought I started the season quite well. Kind of I think in my first 6 starts, I scored, got 3 or 4 assists, and we started all right. A little bit hit and miss. I think we won 6, lost 6 at one point, something like that, where we just weren't drawing games, and kind of was still. It might have been 4, won 4, lost 4, and it was like we were still in and around the playoffs and playing well, and then just results started kind of just not going our way. Like the home to Carlisle, I think that was such a big day, and again, performance was there, result wasn't. Then Forest Green on the Tuesday, the exact same. It just kind of we got into a little bit of a rot where even when we was going up in games, it was like it was probably too desperate to win that we started defending for too long, and inevitably we just couldn't get over the line in a few games, and obviously that was then the end of Parky, which was a real shame. Obviously, I know he'd been at the club for years. I really got on with him, but towards the end, I wasn't really playing as much as I wanted to under Parky. So, kind of a fresh face was probably what I needed at the time. Got back into the team and back out, and just kind of worked like that for until really I kind of left. It was just the conversation I had with Gibbo, the manager now. It was just I need to go and play regular football. So it's nothing. I don't have a bad word to say about Altrincham or anyone who was there. It's just for me and my development, and that I need to be playing games. I can't kind of the training all week with knowing I'm not going to play on a weekend, or it's just not. I struggle to motivate myself really.
Yeah, it's totally understandable, mate. You want to play, and obviously you mentioned about Altrincham there, and you know results early on in the season. I remember when Carlisle did go there, and it was literally like a moment of magic from Regan Linney. That was the difference on the day. I thought you were outstanding that day. I'm a Carlisle supporter myself, and I remember coming away from that game, and we were just like we were lucky. We were really lucky that day. So the performances were there, and like I say, that they did kind of go on a bit of a run where I think at the start of the season they were winning a lot of games by the odd goal, and then it kind of you started losing by the odd goal, and it was just very hit and miss, like you say. So that obviously takes us on to your move to Gateshead. How did that come about? Obviously, Gateshead in a bit of trouble at the moment, but I did watches against Hartlepool, and I definitely think there's signs there, positivity. You could tell what you were doing; it was working until you went down to 10 men, and then it kind of changed. But you could totally see what Rob Elliott's trying to do.
Yeah, the move from Altrincham kind of came about. I spoke to the manager at Altrincham and just said, listen, I feel like I need to be playing games. He was brilliant. He just said, listen, he said, go and have a look if there's anything there for you. And if there is, then like we'll get something sorted. So did that. I spoke, obviously Brad Nicholson had signed, and I knew that he knew Rob. Anyway, so I knew that he'd spoke to Rob, and Rob was kind of quite keen to get me in. And then it did move quite quickly, but it was after kind of initial conversation with Rob, it was kind of I wasn't going to look elsewhere. I kind of spoke to Boston a little bit about going back, but I felt that I needed a new challenge, and like I say, it's a tough one, but stranger things have happened last year, and I wouldn't have come if I didn't think that we was going to stay up. Like you say, I think it's obviously only my second game, but from what I hear and players are just like it's chalk and cheese to where they were already. So I think with more time together, I do think we'll be fine. We've got a run of games now. I think we've got 5 games. We play everyone around us. We play Braintree, Boston, Brackley, Morecambe, and Truro all back to back. So by the end of February, we'll probably know where we're going to be.
Yeah, definitely. And like I say, I only noticed because obviously Carlisle went there Boxing Day, and I watched that, and I watched his against Hartlepool, and it was night and day difference. You were well organised. You weren't giving the ball away, like things like that, just like basic stuff that you've got, that Rob Elliott's got you doing right now. So it's really impressive, mate. And just last one, obviously we've had Frank Newell on the podcast before as well. So you're our second Gateshead player now that we've had on here. So give him our kind regards if you don't mind, mate. We're going to cover obviously games this weekend now. So what we'll do is we've got Altrincham, which is obviously your old team, against Boreham Wood, 3-1. What a result that is for Altrincham. First win in 7. We looked up earlier. Incredible. What did you make of that one, mate?
It was, do you know what I mean? Like, it's been coming. Like, even when I was there was games that was, like I say, was losing again, that we shouldn't be losing, but I just knew a big result was coming at some point, and it's a great one to get, because obviously Boreham Wood flying. No one expected them to be where they are, but I think they had a good result midweek as well, drawing away at Forest Green. Probably 2, you look at it, probably 2 for each really, and you go and take 4 points. I think that's now they'll kick on. But great result from what I'm hearing. It's a great performance, and I've seen the goals. There's 3 good goals in there.
Yeah, definitely. Craig, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, we talked about obviously Boreham Wood bouncing back after their defeat in midweek, but they didn't really get a chance. Altrincham were on them. Altrincham were a very strong side, and like Keaton just said, that bounce back and that result against Forest Green probably gave them the confidence going into this one in front of their own fans. Boreham Wood did lose their captain Callum Reynolds halfway through the first half, and I think that probably disrupted them as well. But Altrincham's goals, as you said, were good moments of quality. They were a strong performance from them, and they were probably starting to worry and start looking over their shoulder. But these 4 points in the last 5 days are absolutely massive for them.
Yeah, definitely. And it would be remiss of me to not mention it because Mark's not here. One of his favourite players is Ollie Crankshaw, and he scored again. Mark always talks very highly of him. So another goal for him. Massive result for Altrincham. Boreham Wood, like I say, they've been flying, but that's a couple of defeats now. They will just be kind of maybe just looking, thinking, we need to kind of just to stop the rot, maybe get a point somewhere and just see how we get on. But if you'd offered them where they are now in August, they'd have thought you were probably a bit crazy, to be honest. They're in dreamland where they are, and massive credit to them. So they won't be too concerned, but just we need to see a reaction from them now. And like I say, Altrincham, it was coming, and for me, like I say, they hadn't won for a while, but there was results there that you like the Forest Green one. Sometimes you just need that result just to stop the rot and then something to build from. Next up, we've got Scunthorpe 3, Forest Green 2, which was an absolute stormer of a game. I watched this one. Keaton, what did you make of this one?
Again, kind of goals of quality. I think the Scunthorpe, like you say, if you'd have offered them to be where they are in August, I think it'd snatch your hand off. And I think that it's a real good club. I think obviously the chairwoman's gone in now and got them back to stability, and now I just think they're going to kick on. I think I've seen that they had a wage cut this year, but the group, obviously they've been together a few years, and I think you can now see it in the pitch. They're going toe to toe with the big boys, and they deserve to be where they are. So yeah, and then I've seen that Ricardo Reese has scored again. Just can't stop.
Took his goal really well as well. Took his goal really well.
But yeah, so another good one. I think that the teams at the top now, no one's up there who kind of probably doesn't deserve to be, which obviously always does happen. And I think Scunthorpe's going on to actually prove people wrong from where they thought they was going to be.
Yeah, and again, who'd be remiss of me not to mention this. I done a little blind ranking on TikTok the other day, and I riled a few Scunthorpe supporters because I had them in like 5th or 6th place. That was before they beat Boreham Wood and Forest Green, so they made me look very stupid. So, and don't worry, Keaton. I know what you're thinking. They've told me as well, so it's fine. They've well and truly told me in the comments. So, cracking result for Scunthorpe. Forest Green again in a bit of a sticky spell, but I think Robbie Savage will be quite content roughly where they are, but they do need to turn that round as well. But I really thought Scunthorpe played some good stuff in this game. The pitch wasn't the best, but they were still trying to play football. They were still trying to pass it around. For Forest Green, I thought everything went through Laurent Mendy. He was breaking the play up. He was progressing with the ball, finding the passes through the lines, passing it to the creative players, doing every job that you want your defensive midfielder to do, really. And then for Scunthorpe, Callum Roberts, I think for me, again, one of Mark's favourites. Mark always mentions him as well. He again, everything they do is just through him. He's so good, but they've got so many players that can hurt you. Ubazunu, I hope I've pronounced that right. He come off the bench, changed the game. Zane Westbrook in midfield, Danny Whitehall. They've got so many players that can hurt you. So massive credit to them. And that, you can't rule them out the title race. I have went on record and said that I think Rochdale and York are probably too good, but I think they could easily be finishing just behind them and in that race. Craig, what did you make of this one?
Yeah, a really, really good game of football, to be fair. Obviously, Forest Green took the lead, and you'd expect them to kick on, but they have struggled a little bit of late. They've only won one of their last 6, obviously drawing 3, I believe, and losing 2 of those. So they're not hitting vintage form, and when the likes of York and Rochdale are winning every week, you're now starting to see a little bit of a gap forming up there. Scunthorpe, perfect week. Beat 2 teams you're up there with. You beat Forest Green, and then earlier in the week you beat Boreham Wood as well. Danny Whitehall's penalty, prolific from the spot. Never doubted him really. But Westbrook's the man for me at the moment. Him and Ollie Ewing in centre midfield are extraordinary. Very, very good players for the level. Obviously, Westbrook's, they've managed to keep his loan through to the end of the season, and Ollie Ewing, I believe they're trying to get contract negotiations going with him. So at least if he does go, they get a good chunk of money for him, which will help with their, not financial problems because it seems to be sorted, but obviously Keaton talked about their wage cuts. If you can get big money for somebody, that will help pay the wages for someone else to come in as well later on. But yeah, they're doing really, really well. Scunthorpe, like you said, probably 3rd, maybe 4th favourite at the minute, which is testament to them when they came up through the playoffs last year, which is always a bit of a lottery.
Yeah, and I know, Craig, you wanted to mention something about Laurent Mendy as well, didn't you?
Yes, just to add disappointment to the Forest Green fans. We've seen on social media that he was watching the Hearts versus Celtic game. He was making sure everyone knew what he was doing this afternoon, as he's obviously getting touted with that move to Hearts at the moment. That was a very shrewd move by him, just to get more eyes on him from the Hearts perspective there.
Yeah, I think Mark put in our group chat, he's like, "Oh, subtle from Laurent Mendy." I was like, "Yeah, it's as subtle as a brick through the window." I've just been linked to Hearts. He's Hearts versus Celtic on the TV. I was like, "Yeah, that's not subtle at all." Talking of, obviously, you mentioned winning convincingly. We've got York 5, Braintree 0. Keaton, I'll ask you about York. Are they the best team in the league? We have this debate on here every week. We kind of go back and forth between them and Rochdale. What do you make of them?
I think I like Rochdale. I think Rochdale are probably the best team I've played at this season. I'd go as far to say they're as good as Barnet last year. But that's what happened. The group's been together kind of 3-4 years, and now you see, well, now they're getting the rewards. Just so well structured. I've played against them 3 times this year and not managed to take a point yet. I just think that the way that kind of everything flows through the 2 midfielders, right? East and Gilmore, they're up there, I think, with the best in the league with Alex Hunt. I just feel like Rochdale are probably a better team, whereas York's got the better individuals. That's kind of the way I describe it. Both just kind of streets ahead of everyone else. And they just can't stop scoring. And
Yeah, I mean,
it's
just what you said there, Keaton, as well. What I've been saying is, obviously, I know York have had 2 clean sheets in a row, so this is going to sound a bit contradictory now, but I was saying Rochdale's defence. I seen somewhere yesterday, I think it was, is that 16 clean sheets in 25 games this season, and I know a wise man once said, you know, goals will win you games, but defences will win you titles, and I do. That's the only difference for me, I think. But Rochdale have York have shoered up since I've said that, so I should maybe keep my mouth shut. But I'm with you on Rochdale. I think Rochdale are my pick as champions as well. But York Braintree obviously was 5-0. Ollie Pierce scoring a hat trick. We talk about them scoring goals. What did you make of this game, Keaton?
Just again, I think it's a free flowing performance. Ollie Pierce just doesn't seem to be able to miss it. I just think that's the difference in the league this year. I think the top teams and the bottom teams there's a goal between top and bottom. And I think yesterday, I just think the way York moved the ball and just is so free flowing, attacking, you just feel like they're going to score every time they go forward. And they get 5 yesterday. Probably could have had a few more.
Yeah, and obviously they were at Carlisle midweek, and they could have had more up here as well. So they are free flowing. And Braintree, Craig, we know Braintree, your team. What are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I think Keaton described it quite earlier when he said teams sometimes get free hits. No one expects us to go to York and beat them, but to be 4-0 down after I think 26 minutes, also we can't be having that, and that's what happened yesterday. I think unfortunately for us, I'm getting more and more come to terms that we've got some players that just are not quite at National League level. They're a young squad. They probably need some experience a little bit lower down the pyramid before coming back again. So it's disappointing, obviously, to pick up these results, but at the minute they're not too surprising for me. We've been playing 5 at the back, and I think it worked really, really well when it was unknown. We'd been playing 4, and then we went to 5. I think with how much video analysis you get, people know how we're going to play now, and they know where our weak spots are. We haven't recovered since the loss of Miranda to Boreham Wood. Just our midfield is very, very open, and then our centre backs are exposed. And when you got Josh Stones bullying your centre halves and pulling players out of position, and then you've got midfielders running through, it's your worst nightmare. Boateng had the freedom of York for his goal. Just disappointing, not necessarily with the final result in terms of losing, but just the manner of it. And we've got Truro on Tuesday night in the National League Cup. We've got to travel all the way to Truro for a Tuesday night game in the National League Cup, which I don't think anyone wants. But for us, it might be one where we can actually go and try a few new things, ready for that run of games. We've got a similar one to what Keaton said with Gateshead. We've got Eastleigh coming up. Then we do go to Gateshead. We've got the teams kind of in and around us. We haven't got a touch of York or Rochdale for a while now, kind of thing. Can we go to Truro, try a few things? Ultimately, the result isn't majorly important in the National League Cup. It's not going to define your season. Go and try a few things and see where we can come out on the end of that before this run of fixtures. Because a bit like Keaton said, at the end of February, I think we know Braintree have got a chance or they're down. I think end of Feb, late March, we're either, hang on, we've got a chance, or no, we're doomed. We could be root bottom if we lose all these games, or we can be 16th if we pick up the right amount of points from them. That's how tight it is down there. But yeah, York would just kept going. Easy second gear, job done.
Yeah, that's what they did when they came up here as well. I don't think they got out of second gear up here. Very good side, and that's a sign of a good team when they've got gears. Like if Braintree had scored yesterday for the opening goal, it would have just angered them, and they probably scored more than 5 in the end. So we obviously on the previous podcast, Keaton, I kind of went in on my team, and we didn't give York enough credit. So I just want to say, obviously, York are a very good side, similar to Scunthorpe, where they've got so much depth. Like I say, Greg Ollie scored yesterday. Josh Stones didn't score. They've got so many players. Ollie Banks, so many that can hurt you. So very good side. And for me, it is between them and Rochdale, but Scunthorpe definitely got an outside shout as well. And obviously, Rochdale and York play each other last game of the season as well, which, I mean, let's get the popcorn in, lads, and we'll just sit back and watch. Next up, we've got Boston 3, Southend 3, another one of your old teams, Keaton. What did you make of this one? This one looked like a bit of a topsy-turvy affair, this.
Yeah, well, I think we obviously, when I've seen that it had gone 3-1, you kind of all think game over. But the teams at the top, like I say, they've got that quality that they can go and nick 2 goals. I watched obviously a lot of the morning. My mate Frankie Maguire looked like he had a real game again. 2 assists and a goal, and then obviously the big man up front scoring. But yeah, I just think again it was probably a nervy one towards the end. Boston obviously not winning a few as well, and it's like, do they try and 2 ways to go? Either go and try and attack more, or you just kind of see yourself over the line. And unlucky for them yesterday, they come up against a top side that can go and score the goals, which they did late on. Obviously a mistake for the last goal from the keeper. But I don't know, it's a lonely place to be in there.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
the
mean,
kind of thing. I think
go on,
it's
mate.
just another great.
Yeah, I mean, so like for me with Boston, we done our mid-season like predictions of who we think's potentially going to go down and stuff like that. And I said I think Boston will go, but obviously they've changed managers. I think they showed in this game that there is fight there, and obviously they're mixing it with one of the best teams in the league in Southend, and they were unlucky to not get the win. Linnell John Lewis, the man whose name's a shop. We had Graham Coughlin on the podcast at one point, and even he started saying about, oh, the man who's named after the shop and all this. And I always say I really rate him. He always plays well when he plays against Carlisle. He always scores against Carlisle. And obviously got 2 himself yesterday. Andy Dallas for Southend got 2 as well. I think for me, just Southend, they have been on a good form, and Halifax have overtaken them and gone into the playoff places. But I think they've got like 3 games in hand on Halifax. So I think for me, they won't be too worried. And obviously, from 3-1 down, you'll take a draw. It probably feels like a defeat to Boston. Craig, what did you make of this one?
Yeah, they had 2 penalties as well, 2 handballs. Maguire was comfortably the best player on the pitch yesterday, though. I watched the highlights and just kind of marvelled at some of his deliveries. I think the commentator described one of his corners as Beckham-esque, and it was hard to disagree with it. He was a magician with the ball at his feet and deserved to be on the winning side. Unfortunately for them, as Keaton said, there was a mistake by Wogan where his kick's gone straight to Spazov, who's then ran through and scored, and that's a sign of the good side. I feel like I'm repeating a lot of what Keaton said. To be fair, they found a way to get some points or a point from a game that they shouldn't have. Boston will be kicking themselves. So giving away a penalty for a handball and then that goalie mistake from 3-1 up to not get the 3 points when they, like we've said, it's been a while since they won. There was a prime opportunity and they've ended up dropping 2 points that it probably felt like a loss. But for Paul Hurst, he looked back at that and said, no, we've got quite a bit to build on from that one. Just hope for Boston they find a goalkeeper that works for them, because none of them have been covering themselves in glory this season.
Yeah, we like to talk about goalkeepers on here, Keaton. We normally going about who's good, who we rate the most, and we were talking about Oliver Watmuth at Rochdale recently, and then Reece Lovett's been mentioned a couple of times, and we do have a bit of a thing for goalkeepers on here. So, and then lastly, we've got Eastleigh 2, Halifax 3. Again, another outstanding game. I was out yesterday and I was getting all the notifications on my phone, and all these goals were going in. I was like, typical when I can't watch any of them. So, but yeah, Eastleigh, we've talked about them. They've got beat 4-1 at Southend in midweek, conceded another 3 here. But should we just start with the obvious, with the Will Harris goals? the bicycle kick that just, yeah, incredible. One of the informed strikers. He's been linked with a move away as well. If he is moving away, he's definitely putting himself in the shop window, and he was scoring goals like that. Keaton, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, again, I think that the Halifax team that they've got on, obviously the problems they had at the start of the season, that the team they've managed to get together is unbelievable. Like really young side, just run all over teams, and that's again what they did yesterday. Obviously they've had the problems with Hermani, but it doesn't seem to be affecting anyone on the pitch. Will Harris, obviously, I seen on Friday, I think that there's a few League Two clubs that's sniffing around, and he's just gone and scored another 2, so he's put himself again in the shop window. But yeah, I just think that they've over Eastleigh, and like you say, Eastleigh is struggling at the minute with conceding goals, and it's something that needs to turn around quickly for them.
Yeah, definitely. I think that Eastleigh will definitely be looking over their shoulders a little bit, just at that little pack behind them, just to, maybe want to distance themselves a little bit. Craig, what did you make of this one?
Yeah, I thought Halifax were good value for the win. I don't think they had too many chances, but when you got a striker in the form Will Harris is in, he doesn't need many. Two really good finishes. The first one especially could be a contender for goal of the month. Eastleigh did get back in it. They did miss a penalty though through Aaron Blair. It was a battle of probably the two most underrated strikers in the league for me in Harris and Blair. And Harris came out on top. He scored twice, whereas Blair missed the penalty. So yeah, he'll be disappointed with that one. Florent Hottie come back in for Halifax. Obviously, I've been a few fans saying that it doesn't matter how Hermione wants to go. We've got Hottie, who's had quite a serious injury, and he's just coming back in. I think he's been in the last 2 or 3 match day squads now, and came off the bench to grab a goal. And if he can hit the form that he's previously hit for them, then Hermiane's not going to be as much of a miss as maybe we first expected. They've gone into 7th place. And you did say Southend have got games in hand, but 2 of them are Rochdale, who most of us are now starting to tip for the title. So they're not going to be easy games at all for Southend there. Eastleigh did grab a late penalty through Humphreys, and yeah, they're so fragile at the back at the moment. It'd be good for them to play a team that's only scored 19 league goals in their next game, wouldn't it? So
I was just about to say, I'm sure they've got your boys next. But to be fair, something's got to give somewhere, because they're shipping goals and you're not scoring any. So something's got to give somewhere.
It'll be them not. They get a nice clean sheet and a 1-0 win, mate. Don't worry about that.
Yeah,
Actually, we're all 0-0 because I'm on commentary.
Oh, you on commentary? Oh, yeah.
Same 1-0.
Yeah, Keaton, Craig's commentated. Is it on 4 games this season or 5?
5 0-0s.
5 0-0s he's had on the zone.
Oh, boring.
Because I know the last one I watched, it was it against Boston?
Boston, yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, it was 0-0, but I've never seen so many sitters missed in one game. And I was like, it's because Craig's there. It's all it can be. These players that normally score for fun missing from 2 yards out. But yeah, that's it for the deep dive. We've got 4 more games to cover. Craig, the floor is yours. See if you can beat Mark's whatever it was, 90 seconds last time.
I'll start with a postponed game to start. So we obviously had no Aldershot versus Carlisle, no Gateshead versus Wealdstone, and no Woking versus Yeovil. There was a game at Brackley versus Hartlepool, but not much happened. That was a goalless draw that ultimately probably more favours the home side, because it's 1 point to get them further away from the drop, whereas Hartlepool, it's 1 point further away from the playoffs effectively, with obviously Halifax picking up good results. Not too much to report there. Morecambe continue their slide down the table. No wins in January for them, as they've gone 2-0 down against Solihull Moors, Wilkinson and Lipozic. I apologise for the pronunciation. I think I've absolutely butchered that. With the goals, a routine away win and a clean sheet for Solihull after bouncing back from midweek. Sorry. The team we are touting for the title on here, Rochdale, with a 2-0 win against Truro City. If you watch this game, you will be shocked that it's only 2-0. Rochdale hit the woodwork 5 times. Granted, 2 of them were in the same move and missed a penalty, which did hit the post. So they could have honestly got a cricket score there against Truro. But again, talking about that free hit, that's one of those for Truro you're not expecting them to get anything out of. Their home form has improved massively. So they're not keeping their heads above water as such at the moment, but they're keeping themselves closer to that dotted line. One team that jumped above that dotted line and replaced my team, Braintree, in the safety zone was Sutton United. They won 1-0 away at Tamworth, with Radori with the goal on 71 minutes. For me, Tamworth should have had 1, maybe 2 penalties in that game. Some pretty poor officiating in that game. What also was poor was a finish from a Tamworth player 5 minutes out. It goes into that category of shocking miss, but unbelievable save from Jack Sims. If you haven't watched that one, make sure you check it out. He kind of claws it back a bit. David Seaman, Paul Pescasolido, that kind of save from many years ago in the FA Cup, but it has to be finished by the striker. It's a gilt-edged chance, and he's missed it. And yes, that's it from the quick cover today, because obviously only the 4 games.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it there. We've had a bit of a chat in the group chat and things, and I think it's a good save, but I think if you're the striker there, you've got to be scoring that. You know, I think it depends how critical you want to be and how much praise you want to give out. It's a great save, but he has to be scoring that. And I did have messages off Rochdale supporters as well, because everyone knows I'm the chairman of the Manny D fan club. He was back from injury yesterday, back on the bench yesterday. So we're talking about defences, and they're not maybe scoring as many as York. Those goals might be coming.
Saruve, we have to call him now, won't we? Because they got two. They got double Manny D up front.
Yeah, they've got too many D's now, which you know we might have to learn how to pronounce his name correctly. So if Manny D's watching this, come on and you can tell us how to pronounce your name correctly to save us butchering them like I do with Ubazonu and like Craig did with Lipswich. Sorry guys, we try our best. But yeah, just before we finish up again, we've noticed obviously on the podcast that we've had a lot of views over the last few weeks. We really appreciate it. If you could just hit that subscribe button while you're there, if you like what you see and you want to see more, it'd be greatly appreciated. Like I say, the more subscribers, the more views we get, the more times we can get exciting guests on, players, managers like Keaton as well. You know, we can have people on that, you know, can give you more of an insight, because obviously sometimes you don't like what I have to say or what Craig has to say. So if we can get players on, hopefully you can be a bit kinder to them than you can to us. But yeah, Keaton, have you enjoyed yourself, mate?
Yeah, no, I have. It's been brilliant.
Great. Well, all the best to you, mate. All the best to you and Gateshead for the rest of the season. I hope everything goes well for you there. Craig, thanks again for joining us, and thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back again midweek. I don't think there's one midweek game, so we'll probably cover that, and then just talk the rest of it. But yeah, thanks everyone. Take care. See you soon.